with Radiate Life with Lorelai. I'm doing a series of shorts this morning. I was writing, and one of the processes I do as a writer is I like I like to talk it out, like voice to text and other methods of capturing that information. I can talk and get things out like I'm an external processor a lot of times so that I'll go back and edit things. So anyway, this particular video is about um, when I started my studies in beyond religion, let's just call it, and into the realm of metaphysics. So when you say beyond religion, for me, it was like I honor the religions that I grew up in. I'm mostly Christian. I have a Catholic school background. I went to all girls Catholic school for 4 years, although I was raised in the Episcopalian church. And plus that there was a Benedictine nuns that were in charge of our schooling, and they were very progressive. They had us read a book on abortion, pro-abortion, right? They said, we want you to think for yourselves. And they truly were those nuns were in the category of, we want to not tell you what to think. We want you to think for yourself. And so the only way to do that is you need to hear the other arguments or the other points of view in order to have your own point of view. And again, true to course for me, I thought, isn't this great? The Catholic Church and all the nuns everywhere are educating people this way, because I went to public school up until high school. There was gang violence. It was only a couple blocks from my school. It was a really crazy hard time in the LA suburbs. And so my parents really saved their pennies and really put me over to a place an hour away where they wanted me to get the best education that I could. And I'm forever grateful for that. And I didn't mind religion. I'm a spiritual type person, but I enjoyed it and I loved it. And you can tell by the nuns were very progressive and very loving and very accepting. It was really a good time to be educated, and it was a good education. So they did not believe in reincarnation, though, I'll tell you that. But the other thing comes to mind to share is that they did also take us to a Buddhist monastery. So here we are, these Catholic nuns. It was Azusa Pacific College. It was right next, or it used to be right next to the college in that college in Glendora, where I went to school at a Catholic all-girls school in Glendora, California. And then there was Azusa Pacific College, right? And then right next door, because we walked there was a Buddhist monastery. And so, because in the Bible it says that Jesus meditated, they wanted to take us over to experience that. I don't even know more than that, because, I was just a student and they took us there. And again, I'm like, oh my gosh, these are the most progressive, loving, and Catholic means universal, with a small c is, Catholic means universal, small c. That is just really beautiful. And I loved it, and it was magical, and it was the whole setting. It was like prayerful, but these were their nuns bringing us and respecting the Buddhist monks that were here. It was just really beautiful. I had forgotten about that. Now that I think of it, this is why I do these lives. So I did go back to the Catholic Church, and in going back to the Catholic Church, there were some things that were going on in my life. And it was hard for me, being in the family cult of narcissism and under the darkness of being in a adult alcoholic home, and seeing through the light, and being one of those people who was, as a kid, trying to stop that from going on and being told it's none of your business, you have to deal with it, who wants to hear from you, all that, the things, right? And it helped me be resilient. It helped me be who I am. And I'm really grateful for professionals like psychologists who at a very young age accepted what I was able to pay and gave me really good insight. So that was really helpful. I learned that even if you're not getting it from your external environment, that you get it from your internal environment. And I did get love from my external environment. You have to realize there, for me especially, like there are people that are working on their own things, and I'm working out my own. And I was grateful for that time, but I'm also an adult, and I get to choose what I do and when I do. But regardless, the Catholic Church, I had priests that would walk by me, and I was crying, just crying. I'm calling out for help. And the day they walked by me was the day that I went, okay, I'm done. If there's a priest who makes eye contact with me, I'm sitting there crying and he can't put his hand on my head or his hand on my shoulder, or he can't say, wait, I'm going to stop. Can I help you? Do you need help? Come to my office. Let me, can I take you somewhere? They did not. And it was not the only time, but I remember the last time that it happened, I was so desperate. I was in so much despair. And this is before the allegations and the actual facts came through and what was happening in the church. And I had decided that I had given everything and that I'd done everything that I needed to do, but I needed something. And I asked God, I asked Spirit, I asked, the loving, beautiful earth that we have is to please help me, because was the kind of person that said, I was a person that was a big people pleaser, because that was the way that I kept safe. And I always felt a little too much that I had to make my way and that I couldn't trust people. So these are things that I've learned to heal, but at that time, it actually helped me to move forward. I was around other individuals who didn't do that. What I witnessed is when there was a setback or something, that they, even as an adult, they expected someone else to come in and rescue them. I think the biggest thing globally that we see, especially, I don't know about other countries, but within the United States, is that there is this big couple of things. One is individuals deciding to live beyond their means. Um, And I'm talking about people that have the means and the ways, that they have their basic needs met, that they have the things, but they want luxuries. They want things that other people have. They want to live rising to the point where they feel like they have to keep up with their neighbors or keep up with appearances, so to speak. We call that now a little bit more like commercialism, okay? Where this is what I'm talking about, where there is this distinct understanding. And I had actually some people who, like, probably at times didn't have their needs met, but they would go on extravagant trips. They would put classes on their credit cards. And then I would hear years later, they would be like, well, I filed for bankruptcy. I filed for bankruptcy because I had a house loan, I had a car loan, and I had all this credit card debt. And one day I just realized, they would say they realized they weren't ever going to be able to pay off that debt. And so they would be like, but that's okay, because I'm just going to declare bankruptcy. And then I'm just going to do a little prayer and I'm going to do some service work and everything's going to be all good. And I thought, I went on trips with those individuals and I did things with those individuals and I saw those individuals living on the credit card, charging things up, and it was a whole consciousness, a whole group of individuals, and this even gets into spiritual, religious things, not just like new cars and new latest technology and cameras and different things like that. I'm talking about spiritual retreat trips. I'm talking about taking classes that were considered spiritual or something beyond just the mundane, right? And I was appalled, because they would say, oh yeah, everything's okay, and everyone in my group would be, most people who had voiced anything that's hung around would be, like, you know what, that's okay, those people are putting that on their credit card, and it's okay. And so it's not okay if your spirituality or your church or your metaphysical group or non-metaphysical group demands, in order for you to pay for services, that you put it on your credit card. That is not okay. That is abuse. So that was like really the main thing I wanted to say today, is that you, no matter whether it's a church, it's a family, like, you deserve to be taken care of. You have to take care of yourself. And you can be a generous and giving person, but after all, if you can't help people if you don't help yourself. And that's not always an easy thing. So going into 2025, this is one of the things that I do want to talk about, is how do we do this and how do we support each other, and how sometimes it hurts to say no, but that knowing is saying yes to ourselves. That was one of the first things I had to tell myself. I had to I was involved in a lot of volunteer work, and the shamanic teacher would say, "Can you do this?" And I always said yes. And people would be like, "Well, I'm supposed to volunteer. Can you do it for me?" I'd always say yes. But at the end of the day, those weren't the healthiest things for me, and it was really hard to say no. But one day, what I did is I said, "I'm unavailable, and I can't because I was raising children and I had plans." But I said a prayer for them. I said an affirmation for them. I had a visualization. I said, I know I can't do this, but what I can do is I can see the spot being filled. I can see somebody loving being there of service. I could see that everything coming together. And I said it like a prayer or a visualization or an affirmation from my heart to their heart. And that is what I decided I could give. That's when I figured out that giving doesn't always mean giving what that person is asking. Sometimes and very often it's because we need to give to ourselves, but we can always give our love, we can give our support, we can give an affirmation, and all those things are very fulfilling. So, whatever it is, and it's at least one step. When you say no to someone else, you're saying yes to yourself. And it's okay if they have a reaction. That's not about you, it's about them. And then the other thing is, do take the time to have love in your heart, see that being fulfilled. My husband one day had a coworker and he listened to them and he said, it just came to me to see them having exactly what they wanted. They were complaining about not having something. And he doesn't normally do that. And he said it came from his heart. So this year again, I want you to come from your heart. I want you to listen to your own inner voice and connect in the ways that you do. And I see Mona here. Fat Grammy, thank you so much for being here. And she's another person today that I saw your video from I believe it was yesterday, and it was she's doing some videos now too about again, some of the same things that we're talking about, but how do you connect with yourself? What are things that in your life you create stability? And she has a nice some diagrams and some visuals. So I hope that you'll also check out Mona too under her handle name Fat Grammy. So love you so much. So that's all I just wanted to come in here to say. Is there anything else? Oh, yes. So Mona says, guess what I'm wearing? Let me guess. It's a yellow crocheted hat with the sunflower on it. I'm so glad that you received it. Yes, she has her hat on. So this was another way that I love that. Thank you so much. So one of the things that I love to do is crocheting, and so Mona and I were talking, and I had a hat that I wanted to make a pattern, and so I made it, and I put love in every stitch of it because she does so much for our advocate community. She does so much to bring down Scientology and to educate us. I also in my community post, I do post some of the other. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. She said, "Thank you so much. I love it." Well, I love you, and I thank you so much. So it is a big community that we're creating, and um, part of this community is realizing that it's not just people that have been hurt and abused by the cult of Scientology, but any narcissistic family that were raised in. Some people call that the narcissistic cult of family. Whether you were abused as a child or an adult, or know somebody in your family who was, um, certainly growing up in a system of cycles of this. So part of it is to stop it. Part of it is to empower and tell our stories, to help and understand that it's true and not let people, like I was saying, tell us it's not going on when we have proof. And then also, how do you move forward? How do you heal from a toxic environment from that? What if you've lived your whole life? What if you were born into this kind of detrimental background? So there's more to come. I wanted to keep this one at a certain length, but I want you to know that I really want for you what you want for you. And again, that's my theme for 2025. And what I ask people to do is start making a list of things they want for themselves. They may never read this list, or you may make a couple of lists. Maybe you make a list of all the things that you need. Like that's like, have you heard of Maslow's hierarchy of need? So that would be your physical needs, your emotional needs, your psychological needs, and your spiritual needs. So if you don't have enough food on the table, then um, then you need to make sure that you take care of yourself. If your church or someone else wants you to give, there are other ways to give. We have our time, we have our attention, we have fundraising, and that's the thing about with the crocheting. I learned crocheting from my mom, but a few years ago I was involved at a weekly church group and they had yarn, and so we crocheted hats for the underserved and for infants in the hospitals. Then right now I'm going to be doing some more crocheting for a cat rescue. I'm going to do sets, gloves and different things because I don't have as much time to actually be there and do some of the volunteer work, but this is something I can offer to them and they can sell it, or I can sell it and money goes towards the shop. So think outside the box, be creative, love yourself, and please, please, when you make a list of people most important to take care of, you have to be at that top of the list. You know, you can't feed other people from an empty cabinet. You can't give other people water from an empty well. And you need to take care of you. So come together, and I hope to see you around. So much love to you, and thank you all for being here.